Hey everybody, it's Scott Golden. I'm the owner of Simmons Floorcovering and Total Renovations. And if you're watching this video, it's because you're probably in the market for some engineered wood floor. And what I hope to do in this video is educate you on all the questions that you might need to answer and make sure that you buy the floor that's right for you. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about why you'd want to put an engineered floor in your home. First off, engineered floors are more stable than solid wood floors. In a moist environment like Texas, we have problems with moisture coming through the slab, and an engineered floor is not going to cup like a solid wood floor might. Also, engineered floors are easier to maintain. They typically have a better finish than we can put on in a home environment. And you can also, they're more predictable. So because they're pre-finished, they come out exactly the way you're looking for them to look. So they're more predictable. And in a remodel environment, they're a little bit faster project installation time. So with an engineered floor, we can install it, and because it's already finished out of the box, you can walk on it the next day. And most projects can get finished in a little bit shorter period of time than with a solid wood floor. And most importantly, an engineered wood floor is going to add value to your home. It's going to increase the value. So you're going to have a floor you can enjoy as well as be able to increase the value of your home. Another important consideration before you buy an engineered floor is understanding how the engineered floor is constructed. First, you need to understand that an engineered floor is made up of multiple layers of wood, and they're laid cross grain. So each layer, the grain is running a different direction. That helps to give it stability. And then those layers are glued together, and a veneer layer on top, which is the wood that you're actually wanting it to be visually representative, that's on the top, and that's how the product's manufactured. Sometimes we run into product that uses, instead of wood, is what we call a high density fiberboard or a medium density fiberboard in the middle. On a lot of your entry level products, you'll see that. I don't recommend buying that because a lot of times if there's a little bit of moisture, those expand and they don't perform as well. So stay away from that. Make sure that you've got wood all the way through. The other thing that you need to recognize is that different engineered floors are going to come in different thicknesses and widths. Most of the popular thicknesses are 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch. You'll find some in the 9/16 or 5/8 thickness. Again, what makes this nice is you can install it on your floor and it matches up well to the carpet and tile surfaces, so you don't have a height difference. The other thing is the width of the plank. Most engineered floors start at about 5 inches wide and go as high as, well, they'll go as high as 9 inches or more, but most of the things that are on the product today are somewhere between 5 and 8 inches wide. The trend lately is to move toward wider plank floors, so kind of be on the lookout for that. You're probably going to see wider floors. Another thing to consider when purchasing an engineered wood floor is the type of species that the veneer is made out of. For example, this is an entry-level product. It's a birch. This is a mid-grade product. This happens to be a hickory. And then this is a higher grade product. This happens to be an oak. It's important because the hardness level of the different species will help determine how long the floor lasts. So for example, a birch or a cherry or a walnut, those are softer species. You need to be a little more careful with those products. Oak is kind of in the middle, and then hickory and maple are harder species. They can handle a little bit more traffic and a little bit more of the pets and the kids and that type of thing. So need to know exactly what type of species it is. The next thing you need to know about your veneer layer is how was it developed. On entry-level product, such as this product, they use what's called a rotary peel process. They basically take the log, they start spinning it, and then they take a blade, and then the wood comes off of the log, kind of like toilet paper comes off of a roll. The advantage of this is that they are able to get a good yield, so the cost stays down. The downside is when you do a rotary peel product, it exposes more of the soft grain in the wood, and sometimes a rotary peel product doesn't hold up as well as the other type of product I'm going to talk about, which is what we refer to as a sliced face or a sawn face. When they do these veneers, they literally cut into the plank, and it gives you a more natural looking product, as well as it gives you a more durable product. You pay a little bit more for that. Another thing to consider about the veneer layer is what the finish is. There's two different types of finish today in pre-finished floors. One is polyurethane, and polyurethane is probably the most popular finish that we have today, and another is an oil-based finish. The downside of polyurethane is that it can sometimes start to show scratches, and those scratches can be repaired, but it does tend to show scratches over time. An oil-based finish, it's not as hard, but it doesn't show scratches, and the floor can literally heal itself. So you'll want to talk with your salesperson about what finish type would be a good match for what your lifestyle is. The next important consideration for your engineered wood floor is what method of installation are you going to use. There's glue down engineered floor, there's nail or staple, and there's also floating floors. Now in Texas, in this particular market, we use a lot of glue down applications. So we literally take the board out of the box, we put glue on the floor, and then we lay the floor into the glue. The advantage of a glue down floor is, one, they have less sound because it's glued down, the wood's not allowed to move. It has less sound when you walk across it. And also it's easier to change out those planks if you were to have a damaged plank. A floating floor is going to need to be installed over a pad, and it just sits on top of the pad. The downside of a floating floor is it tends to make a little bit more noise. The upside is if you have any foundation issues, sometimes a floating floor is a better solution than a glued down plank. But talk to your representative about the installation method that you want to use. Regardless of installation method, I think it's important that you do two things. One is you need to do a moisture test on your slab. This is an example of a concrete meter that we use to measure the moisture level that's in the slab. If we find that you have a high moisture level, we may need to do some mitigation on that. The second thing that you need to be aware of is it requires a flat surface. And it may look like your floor is flat now, but once we pull up the carpet or we pull up whatever's there, we may find some high and low spots in the concrete. And in a case like that, we have to fill those in or grind them down so that you have a nice flat surface that helps prevent hollow spots and places where the floor is going to come up or down. Another important aspect of making your decision on your engineered wood floor is what type of fashion statement you're looking to make with your floor. So the first thing you want to consider is how much character do you want to have in the floor. Character is the knots, splits, scraping, texture that the floor has. So for example, this is an AB grade of wood. It has almost no knots, no splits, and it's a very consistent color all the way throughout. You want to, if you're looking for consistent color, you want to be real careful about buying something with this type of look. Another type of wood would be something that's more of a rustic or a cabin grade. So for example, with this piece of wood, you have a light section and a dark section. This is an area where there's some mineral streaks, it's a lot of graining. So this product's probably going to have some knots and things like that. And you want to get an idea what that looks like. This is where it's important that you don't just look at a small sample, but you actually see either a picture of what it looks like, or maybe even get a box and lay it out and see exactly what it's going to look like on the floor so that you're comfortable with knowing exactly what that product's going to look like when it's installed. Another thing you want to look at is if you're buying a character floor is on a character floor, they're going to fill in some of the knots and some of the splits. Well, do you want it to be filled with black, and that's going to give you some black marks across the floor? Or do you want it to be filled with color to match, meaning the color of the fill is going to match the rest of the product, so you're not going to see it as much. You're going to pay a little bit more for that, but you're going to have more consistency in color. Another thing to consider is the width of the plank. One of the things I've mentioned before is the trend in wood flooring is wider and wider planks. Most planks start at about 5 inches and they go up to about 9 inches. But you need to find out just how wide of a plank that you want. If you have large rooms, they're more accepting of larger, wider planks. If you have small rooms, you might be cautious because wide planks in small rooms doesn't necessarily work real well. Another thing you want to consider is what type of edges are on the plank. Most manufacturers will do a bevel or a pillow top or an eased edge around the plank, and what that does is it makes the plank show out more when it's on the floor. Years ago, everything was more of a square edge, so it was square on the edge, but it didn't give any character once the wood was actually on the floor. So you want to find out what type of beveled edge does that product have. You want to find out what kind of texture the wood has. So for example, this is a wire brush finish where they've gone in and they've scraped the floor with a wire brush and it's removed some of the softer graining that's in the plank. It's a very popular look these days. It gives it a little bit of texture. This happens to be a floor that's more of a hand scraped floor. We're seeing less hand scrape than we did years ago and more moving toward this type of a texture where it's a wire brush texture. And then the final thing to consider is what the color, I say it's the final, but it's really the most important consideration is what's the color and how did the wood achieve that color? So for example, lighter color and more natural colors are popular today. The market's trending away from dark colored wood. However, here in our North Texas market, we still tend to like browns and reds and more of the bolder colors. So you still have the ability to decorate however you want. You just need to know what you're trying to achieve. One of the things that's important to know is whether you're using a stained product like this. This product has been stained on top, so it's just had color that's on the top. Stained products are more consistent in their color. This product is what's referred to as a fumed product. Instead of using stain on the surface, it's actually put in a pressure cooker where there's pressure and gases that are added in, and it literally changes the color of the wood, and then they take that wood and create the floor out of it. So when you're, now the issue with that is there's a lot of color variation between lots. So sometimes we'll get wood in that doesn't actually match up exactly with what the sample board. Thank you, Wendy. What the sample board shows. So you want to just find out if it's a fumed product or a stained product and make your decision accordingly. I hope you found this video helpful to you and giving you the things you need to be thinking about and making your decision on your engineered wood floor. If there's other questions you have, please feel free to contact us. We're here to educate you. We feel like an educated consumer is our best consumer. And on behalf of the entire Simmons team, thank you very much. Hope we get an opportunity to work with you on your engineered wood floor project.